And she'll just wait to see who's here. Oh, you can see my incense smoke. Oh gosh. Oh, Jenny's here. Hello, Jenny. Oh no. I've lit an incense. I hope that you can see it. Right, have I requested Jenny?
Oh, hang on.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Hold on. I'm going to move because I'm going to move it up a little bit. Oh, there we go. Right, I'm in. How are you?
I'm fine.
Look at your hair.
I know.
I didn't join you on the hair wash. I wish I did.
I had to. I've like dry shampooed for 3 straight days, and it's just not even funny.
Well, it looks fab.
Well, thank you very much. I dried it and everything.
It looks beautiful. I'm going to pin a comment. So, mindset. And I've never pinned a comment before, but we'll see if I can do it. Let's see. I don't know how to pin it. Pin comment. Okay.
Look at you go.
I know. I'm learning. Social media thing. So how are you?
I am very well, thank you. How are you?
Yes, good. Thank you. And congratulations on passing your assessment.
I know. It was terrifying. But it's been like 8 months in the making. So I wasn't overly, it's just the whole assessment thing, because it's been so long since I've actually sat down and there was like 2 people watching me. I had to do a whole hypnosis thing.
I love that.
I was sure
hypnotize.
I'm sure the guy was asleep. There's a bit in it where I had to kind of say to him, ask him a question. He had to answer me under hypnosis. And about 45 seconds, he wasn't answering. And I'm just like, what do I do now? Do I shout down the phone?
It's a good sign that you managed to get him into that state.
I know. Hang on.
Right.
Yeah, no, it was fab. It was fab. It was really good. So I'm just so glad it's done.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
So do you want to kind of introduce yourself to anyone new that hasn't heard you before?
Yeah, I am Jenny. I am a coach who deals specifically with mums who are struggling as their kids become more independent. They push for more independence, and with that, they lose the way they've mothered for so long. Has kind of always been to nurture the kids and be around the kids, but then as the kids get older, you have to parent in a totally different way, and you have to stop being the parent you have always been and just be the parent that your kids need you to be. So I have 2 kids who are 12 and 14, and then 2 older, much older grown-up stepkids. So yeah, they drive me up the wall at times, but it's been a journey for me as much as it's been a journey for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's me.
Amazing. So what we wanted to really talk about tonight, wasn't it, like when that happens? And I think you've obviously got, you know, children of a certain age, and I think even to some degree, and I said this when we first had a chat, is that even my son Jack, who's not even 4 yet, is pushing for independence in ways that is new to me. And actually, it's like you say, being the parent that he needs, I do need to allow him that space to grow that confidence.
Yeah.
But even with the work that I'm doing on myself, I still find it a bit like, oh, what do I do now then? Because I've got all this extra time, and there's that, and I love that you're called the redundancy. Yeah, because it is. You feel a bit redundant, don't you, when that happens? Because I think we tend to put a lot of our identity on being a mum, and we make that everything, don't we? So do you want to talk a little bit about your journey and how you got to this place as a coach, like what led you down this route?
Yeah, so I think for me, it kind of started maybe 2-3 years ago when I kind of went through a stage where I was really pissed off all the time. I've been a stay-at-home mum and kind of worked in between looking after the kids, doing odd jobs, but never anything for me. Kind of left my career and the job I had when I became pregnant. I was like, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mum for the kids. And then when the kids, my youngest said to me one day, I can do it myself. And it was like the fourth or fifth time I heard it, and it was just like a punch to the stomach. It was like, right, okay then. And it's like, what do I do now? So following that, I kind of started questioning everything. I was, well, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? At some point, they're moving out, and then I'm left at home with my husband. And then, you know, what do you do? And I didn't know, I didn't know anything about self-development really. I kind of seen odd quotes and things like that and read a couple of books. But like most people, you browse through the books, then 3 days later you forget what you've read. So I ended up in quite a bad place, and I went to the GPs, and they did blood tests thinking it might be some kind of hormone-related issue, maybe early menopause, perimenopause. And eventually, when all that came back clear, I was kind of diagnosed with a form of like a mild depression, and she said we can give you some medication if you want. And I'd suffered with depression quite severely years before, and that wasn't a route I personally wanted to go down. So at that point, I kind of said thanks, but no thanks. I'll come back if I need to. Went away and then just started reading, started doing webinars, stumbled across the She Grows, which I think you were on as well, Megan and Wendy.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah. And that just opened up a whole new world for me. It was like, right, my happiness and my future now depends on me. It doesn't depend on my kids. It doesn't depend on my husband or the people around me. So yeah, from there, I did like a lot of unraveling about how I was spending my time. My kids didn't need me, so I had to please other people. I had to please, you know, parents or friends or family, and do everything for other people because that their pleasure meant I had some kind of fulfillment. So yeah, it's been such a journey, but it has been the best thing, other than my kids and my marriage, the best thing I've ever done. The best thing, because I'm happier now than I've ever been. And it frustrates the hell out of me that, and I know I had this conversation with you, when you're pregnant, you kind of spend 9 months preparing yourself for the baby coming, and you buy all the shit and you read all the books and you talk to other people. But then you don't prepare yourself for the transitions of mum, the transitions of them not needing you, and the transition of them saying, leave me alone, and the dirty looks, and I can do it myself. And
you know what, that's the thing, I think these open conversations are so important, because no one warned me that at 4 my son wouldn't want to kiss me anymore, or he wanted that personal space, and obviously that's something I have to respect. That's his need, and that's his right to have that space. But you aren't in that point when, like you said, you romanticize that. I think it's going to last a very long time, that they're going to depend on you for, and because I think in the early years they are so dependent on you, you do pour everything into them, that it does come as quite a shock. And I think so many mums go through, almost, I think for me, I went through quite a big identity crisis when he was getting older. And obviously in the last year it's become like you, I did the She Grows events, and I realize now that actually the investment in myself makes me fun for him to be around, makes me happy, and he sees that, and I see him copying me. I use my voice, so he uses his voice, and actually it's one of the best gifts we can give our children.
100%. Mine are teens, so you know, anything I do they kind of rebel against a little bit, but I have noticed there's things they say and things they do, issues they go through, and they kind of, my eldest particularly is quite in tune, she's quite empathetic, so I've noticed there's things she does, and sometimes she's calmer than me with certain situations. But yeah, it's a whole identity thing. Your whole identity revolves around your kids, and when they need something else from you, you like lose yourself again, and you've got to rediscover who you are as a parent. I found that I was being the mum I'd always been, rather than being the mum that they needed me to be, and I think that was the kind of turning point for me. But yeah, it's so hard, and it's just a conversation. There needs to be conversation around this. So, and I'm not saying in situations where there's depression people don't need medication, God, they do, and I did years ago, and it's, you know, if that's right for you, then you do you. But it just scares me that there's probably women out there that don't even think that they can talk to somebody about it. What they're going through is normal when the kids are pushing them away, and you know, don't want kisses anymore, don't want cuddles. And
I think the whole topic around motherhood, I think there generally is quite shame driven feeling
Yeah.
towards motherhood, and you know, not doing it right, not getting it right, not coping. And I know for me personally that was where I was at, and I, like you, was very low and needed therapy and things like that. But I'm so glad that I took the route I did into mindset work, because
Yeah.
actually it worked for me in a way that I never thought possible. But these
Mm-hmm.
discussions are so important, because I think one thing I wanted to touch on is what would you advise for mums that do feel this way? What would you advise is the starting point for moving into this work?
The things that really helped me were journaling, journaling around why I was feeling like that. So writing the shit down, just getting it out of your head and onto paper. And there's something so cathartic about that, and being able to sit there, read it back and think, yeah, well, I was feeling like that, but that might be because of that. It gives you that opportunity to analyze it and question it. I'm a big fan of meditation. I know it's not for everybody, but for me, it kind of got me
Mm-hmm.
out of my own head. I think that depends on how busy your
Yeah.
head is sometimes. And then just talking to people. You know, if you're in a position where you can get a coach, then get a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Changed my world when I got my first coach, and I still have coaches now. I think it's the best
Yeah.
thing. But then if you can't, talk to friends, because the chances are, I never really had that conversation with my mum friends. You know, you
Yeah.
say it in passing, don't you? You joke about it. Oh, yeah, they don't want to give me a kiss anymore. But you
Yeah.
don't talk about the emotions attached with that, really. You kind
No.
of just gloss over it. And so, yeah, I think definitely journaling, meditating if you can,
Mm.
reading and talking. It's the basics, but the problem is, again, as a mum, you put yourself at the bottom of the list. You know, you sort the kids when you come home, and then you're too tired. You just want 20 minutes to sit on the sofa and veg before you go to bed, and everything else gets pushed.
Yeah.
You know, you get pushed to the bottom of the pile,
Mm.
which is, it's that again. It's kind of which do you do first? You've got to do the work to realize that you need to put yourself at the top or near the top of the list.
Yeah.
But until you put yourself at the top of the list, you don't realize you need to do the work. So it's a bit of a catch-22. But
Yeah, and
yeah,
I think that I think it's normal, and I think it's something to expect, is that you will find resistance to it at first,
yeah,
and
God, yeah,
actually that's okay. And after years of giving your all to one person or to many children, it's natural for you to feel that resistance. But again, it's honing in, isn't it, on okay, what do I need right now?
yeah,
Because it can be the smallest things, like you say, like journaling, even for a few minutes, to
yeah,
just let it out. It's maybe just building it up. I said, like, that's what I tended to do. And I mean, Jack was a little bit younger, but I felt like I hadn't got the time, or I didn't want
mm,
to prioritize the time, because of course I didn't think I was important. So I
yeah,
started really small and then worked myself up, and then like you got a coach, and
yeah,
that's just like life changing.
yeah.
um
But I
yeah.
think I think growth comes from the resistance. I think when you hit that resistance and break through it, that's when you have the growth. And I think it's it's just so important that, I think it's like you said at the beginning of the conversation, when your kids see that growth, when they see you being happy because you're happy for yourself, you're not, you know, you're still happy when your kid takes the first steps or rides the bike or, you know, whatever that is. But a child, a teen, a kid seeing that happiness emanate from you just because you are, is more important. And that is the biggest skill you can teach your kid, particularly in today's society when so much is going on. It's kindness and happiness, for me, are the two things. And if they've got that, then they're destined for great things, regardless of
Yeah,
careers and everything else.
very much. Is it Brené Brown that has that? I think it's Brené Brown. I'm not sure exactly who it was, but she has like a almost like a ruling of the house, and that they will always practice kindness and openness and sharing. And I think
Yeah,
when our kids see us even just being open with ourselves and taking that time and voicing that, you know, I'm not feeling that great right now, so I'm going to go and have a bath, and I'm going to go and
yeah,
meditate. There's so much value in that, but I do also, from experience, know that that can feel so difficult
yeah.
to step into that space and to go, okay, I need to take some time for me.
But you
That's
do,
really hard for me.
you'll know as well as me that if you continue on that path, what happens is your head ends up exploding. You just
Yeah,
end up just over the smallest thing. you end up losing your shit and you fall out with everybody. And that is, again, why you need to put yourself at the top. And I know it's hard when you've got babies. I've got to remember the sleepless nights, the tiredness.
Yeah.
But as they start stepping into having that independence, that's the time when you say to yourself, right, I need to do this for me. But then again, your kids also learn, right, I need to do this for me. I need to take some time out and I need to have a bath because I'm feeling a bit shit. Particularly as they get older, it's modeling all that behavior on for your kids. But it's something I have self-care Sunday regardless of the day of the week. Valentine's Day this year was ace. We went and watched football and then left my husband drinking with his friend, and then I came home and had self-care Sunday all by myself. It was the best. It was the best thing.
I live for those days.
Oh, bath, face mask, reading my book. I was in bed by 10:30, and that just is my perfect night.
And you know what, as well, the guilt that you feel, and I was riddled with guilt. Like I would go and take a shower, and I'd be like, I can't do this. This is so not okay, you know. Like, and actually, in reality, because Jack was moving through that independence, and actually he wanted to go off on his own, and he loves being on his own. He didn't need. It was okay.
Yeah.
But after time, and speaking from experience for both of us, we don't feel that now, and we actually enjoy it and value it, and can just soak in the goodness of time to ourselves. And it takes that bit of work to get to that point, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally.
That perseverance, I think.
Yeah, I think that I've posted about this before. Mum guilt is total and utter bullshit, and it's a story we tell ourselves. It's just all it is a story we tell ourselves, and I don't even know why. There's no. It's like something that society tells you as a mum. You've got to be busy all the time. You know, if you're a full-time mum, if you're a part-time mum, a working mum, you've got everything to do, so you haven't got time to spend on yourself. And that's when the guilt kicks in, and there's absolutely no need for it, because if you're not mentally and physically strong, how are you supposed to do any of those things? How are you supposed to, you know, remember World Book Day and remember all the shit in between?
Oh, yeah, no, don't. I am I just can't remember that. I've accepted, and I think a lot of it as well. I mean, I'm still navigating through this motherhood thing. Like, this is a lot, right?
Yeah.
But one thing that my coach Erica said, like, it's about sort of accepting the mum that you are, not putting the pressure on you to be this mum. And I think me and Kelly spoke about this in our life, because it's like, you know, you see mums, especially when lockdown hit, for those that have younger children, it was like everyone's doing all this crafty shit and everyone's doing and I was looking on Instagram and I'm like, I feel like I should be doing this shit, but Jack didn't want to do it. And then I felt a failure because I thought, oh, well, he doesn't want to do it. And then I thought, hang on a minute, I accept that I'm not the mum that wants to do that. And I'm the mum that actually, I'll say to my child, I'm busy, I'm doing work because I want to make people feel good, I want to lift people up, that's my job. And then he'll see that I'm that. And I remember Erica saying that, and I was just like, yeah, do you know what? It's that acceptance of, this is the mum I am. I'm not the mum that hand makes World Book Day costumes, and nor do I want to be. Do you know? So there's a level of acceptance that you have to do, I think, as well.
Totally. And I went through that phase. I went through that phase of not hand making costumes, but I was like, right, because I've always been quite crafty. So for me, it's like, I'll do this for the kids and they'll do this. And they were like, I'm not asked. Do you know the worst thing for mum guilt is elf on the, excuse if there's any elf on the fucking shelf is an absolute nightmare.
I didn't do it this year. I didn't do it.
Oh my God. All it does, no, you look on Instagram and there's people that are so creative and oh my God, look at what that elf's doing. And then you feel shit because you've left him, you know, at the top of the stairs or in the toilet or in the sink. And
I'd leave him in the same place 3 days in a row and then the kids would be like, wasn't he there yesterday? And I'm like, no.
It is, because all it does is plays into your insecurities as a mum, and this is where the whole social media thing comes in. Is you look at what other people are doing, and again, this is another aspect. It's a comparison. Look at that, what that other mum's doing, and look at how happy their kids are when you see them on social media. And the kids have probably had a 20-minute meltdown, but you don't see that on the gram, do you? You don't see.
Just to clarify, I've got child tears on me because Jack has been screaming for an hour because he lost at musical statues. So let's just put the normal. That's normal, and that's what happens. And we don't talk about that stuff because a lot of it, I think, plays into fear of judgment as well, doesn't it? It's like, if I'm honest and say, do you know what? Motherhood has been pretty shit for me today. I have not coped well. My son has been miserable and I've been miserable. And it's that openness and acceptance and maybe just losing that fear of judgment and the work that, you know, we do
yeah,
can aid that, can't it? So I know for me, like, one big thing I focused on is not giving a fuck what people think anymore.
no,
And that played into motherhood, because I'm like, do you know what? If my son is screaming in Sainsbury's, I don't care.
yeah.
I don't care what you think.
You've got to do you, and you've
Or,
got, yeah,
yeah, I'd be like,
yeah.
everyone's watching, everyone's
How
watching.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think, I think the only thing as a mum you can ever do is be the parent that your kids need. I think everybody else can just go away. You know, I'm trying really hard not to swear today, but you know me, you know I swear a lot.
Yeah, we're used to it, don't worry.
You've just got to be the mum your kid needs, and as long as you're doing that, nothing else matters. As long as you're being there, because the other thing with mumming, parenting, is you absorb the emotions of your kids. So if your kids
Oh, yeah.
having a shit time at school and they're having issues with friends or whatever else, we've had dramas recently with my youngest, and it's so hard for it not to take it personally. And then particularly as they get older, you sit there and you kind of like, well, why don't you do this, or why don't you? And they're like, no, mum, I know what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
that's really tough, because you're constantly kind of saying to your kids, I do this or I do that, and they're like, I'm not even interested in what you're telling me. And that again, it's another kind of kick to the gut. But yeah, as long as you're the parent that your kid needs, then everybody else can bugger off, as far as
Yeah,
I'm
and that's
concerned.
it. It's just, every child is different, every parent is different. So there is no framework to this, and letting go of that pressure. And I think once you start to invest in yourself and realize actually you connect back to who you really are, and not
Yeah.
what the world or society is sort of driving you to believe you should be. I think a lot of the work that we do is taking out the shoulds and just going, this is me and this is who I am as a parent, and that's okay. It's more than okay, because my child chose me, I am their parent, and that's how it is, you know.
Yeah, but I think it's also as well, is questioning along the way, right? I've parented like this for so many years or for so many months, but now my kid needs me to take a step back. They need me to do things in a different way. And that's a really hard thing as a parent, is knowing when to say, right, I need to leave them alone. I need to let them deal with it on their own. I need
Yes,
to
that is so
let
true.
them figure this issue out, because as a mum, you just want to control everything. You want to kind of, you know, I remember with my kids, I used to always say to them, and I see it now as a mistake, don't climb high on that wall, because if you fall off, we're going to have to phone an ambulance, and I don't want to have to be going to hospital. And you'd say this, but now I'm thinking, because I said that, is that why she's not taking risks? Is that why she don't want to? Because she's seeing the consequences follow through. So that you're constantly having, you know, one of the biggest things as well is we all fuck up. We all make mistakes.
Really.
We're learning as much as the kids are learning. So it's not being too hard on yourself, doing exactly what you think is right for your kids, but also being conscious that you need to be changing how you parent as they get older. And like I said at the start, this is something, there's a few websites I've been on recently all about mums and how getting mums together, and mum community and mum groups. And it stops when the kids get to high school age. There's no conversation about like 11, 12 plus. They think, well, you know what you're doing now, your kids are fine. Which is bullshit, because again, we're all still learning. We're all still just going with the flow. And it frustrates me that there's no conversations about that, because how are you supposed to navigate it without talking to people that have been through it, that learning from other people? And
Well, that's why I think what you do is just so valuable, because for me, obviously, I haven't reached that point. And now, and then it just helps you understand what might come, and what might come up for us as parents when we reach that point, that actually it's okay that we're feeling that way. How would you say, so definitely I agree in those moments, because I used to be the mum that would be like, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it, because I didn't want him to feel that discomfort, and I didn't want him to feel that. But ultimately, that's where resilience comes from, right? The experiences we're going through, we want them to be resilient, so we have to allow. But for people that do find it difficult, or are finding it difficult, if they're in that transition stage where their children are maybe in their, you know, early teens, how would you sort of guide someone on how they step back and just allow? What would be your sort of advice there? Because I know that's so hard.
Yeah, the hardest word is no. So, and I think as somebody who, again, the whole people pleasing thing comes into that, and my years of doing that and being that, I'll do it. When your kid wants something, I always now question, and I hope they're not on this live, because they'll figure out what I'm saying. When they question, when they ask me something, I'll say to myself, are they doing that because they're being lazy, or are they doing that because they don't know, they actually don't know how to do it themselves? So for instance, I do the washing, but I put it in baskets. They come and take the basket, they take it to the bedrooms, they put it all away themselves. Things like that I never did before. I was like, well, I'm the mum, I'll go do it and I'll put it away. And but again, that gives me more time. If they don't empty the basket, they don't get any more clothes. That's it. I don't do the washing. Other things we've done is like we've started doing like a meal delivery thing, like Gusto. So they cook one night a week and they have to tidy up and things like that. But the biggest thing is just saying no, and it's questioning, because again, with everything kids do, they're constantly pushing boundaries. So this is just another example of that, is the pushing to see how much you'll do for them, because they can't be asked. And ultimately, if I could get away with doing it and you could get away with doing it and somebody else doing all that housework or washing, then you would. And it's
here for it.
Yeah, me too.
Totally
Tell me about it. It's the bane of my bloody life. So you have to say no, because if you don't, they won't learn. But yeah, it is tough, and it does pull at the heartstrings, particularly when they give you those, oh, but please, mums. You're like, no, do it yourself. You're more than capable of doing it yourself. And then eventually the no's aren't as hard, and they kind of get into a habit of doing it themselves. But it is a really fine line, and it is tough, but it is the only way for them to gain independence. You gain more time, and they're not taking the piss. So it's win-win-win.
That's a very win-win. I think as well, like for me, I know I've started looking into like the conscious parenting, and a lot of what you're saying is about being the parent that your child needs at different points of their life, because you know, especially and we've all been teenagers, we've all been children, and to some extent we all kind of still are, you know, we've all got that inner child. So we know that our journey through that was difficult for some of us. I found teenage years very tricky. So I guess, is it more as well about building that connection with them and then setting those boundaries to what they need in that time? I know that that's conscious parenting stuff. I'm still
it is quite tricky from my experience. It totally depends on the kid. So like it totally depends on the kid, and it totally depends on the mood, because if they are that way out, there is no point. It's like the times I'll go into one of my daughter's bedroom and she'll be like, oh, this happened and this happened, and you're like, yeah, tell me all about it, we're great, we're really good friends, and you know, all this inner dialogue goes on in your head. I'm doing a good job because my kid's talking to me. But then you'll walk in 20 minutes later and they're like, what, get out my room. And that is all just kind of, it's all home, and you've just got to give them that space. That is all you can do, I found, in situations like that. Having the relationships with them, for me, one thing I have learned to do is to totally back off, and I'm always there if they want to talk, and I kind of always ask them open-ended questions. But if they don't want to talk about it, I try, don't always succeed, but I try to leave it. You know, it's up to them. But again, a lot of what I've learned is about speaking to the kids in a way that they try and figure out the answer themselves. So they will kind of try and lead them down the right path, without feeding them the information, because there's no point in feeding them the information. They have to believe in what they're doing or believe in what they're saying when they're coming to dealing with whatever issue they've got. But it's hard. It's hard as hell. It's one of the hardest jobs, and I've had a few jobs. It's one of the hardest jobs I've ever had, and it changes every day. And it doesn't seem 2 minutes since they were tiny little babies. And this is the hard thing with parenting, because they're just gorgeous little bundles of joy, and you do everything. And I wrote a blog post the other day, and it was about happiness in kids, and how when they're little, you bring all the happiness into their lives. You organise the play dates, you put Peppa Pig on, you dance in muddy puddles with them, you play music, you do all that, don't you? You know, you bring that happiness into their lives. But then as they get older, their friends bring that happiness. You try and, you know, the only time my kids really belly laugh at me now is when I stub my foot and I'm rolling around the floor in tears. That is literally the only time they laugh at me now.
To be fair, Jack does that already, so I haven't got much time.
But that's a really hard shift. When they get older, you've gone from being the happiness giver to being the one that nags, moans, gives them shit, gives them jobs to do, and that's it. But as a teen, when they're teens, you don't bring them happiness anymore, which is that's real. That's as it should be. That is life.
Yeah.
But
so many of us aren't prepared for that though, Jenny.
No.
I don't think I would have been prepared for that if I hadn't looked at content like yours. And I don't actually know many people that are as open and honest about this stage of a child's life and as they enter into those teen years. And I think it's so valuable to know that it's okay for your children to not want you there. And it doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It doesn't mean that you're, that shame that you sometimes feel together.
That's it. It's the shame, and it's feeling like you're not good. It's like, what have I done wrong? Why aren't they happy being with me anymore? What could I have done differently? What could I have done better? Have I done something wrong? Are they embarrassed of me? And it's not about us as parents. It's not about, we've done our job. If we get to that stage as kids, we've done his job right. Because, say for instance, you with your son, if in 20, 30 years from now, he meets a girl, but he's still obsessed over his mum, and you're the only one that can make him laugh, that girl she'll run a mile.
That's the problem.
Yeah. And you're like 40, 50-year-old. He's like, you're like 50, 60-year-old with your son still living at home, because it's, so it is the natural progression. But the problem is, as mums, we're not told that, we're not told to prepare ourselves for that. And it's fucking horrible. It's a horrible feeling to think that you don't make your kids as happy as you used to do. And like family time, God, the number of times I have lost my shit over board games because I just want everybody to have a good time and play board games.
Wow, Kelly's ex-boyfriend had a bath with his mum. That is not what we're aiming for, is it?
No, you don't want that. You see, his mum still obviously made him really happy, which isn't a good thing, is it? Yeah. Each to their own, I suppose. But that's not for me.
See, I think as well, like when you speak about that, it brings up for me as well this like when we work on our self-worth and we work on how we feel about ourselves, do you think that maybe just builds a bit more of that acceptance that actually, like you say, if we've done that, that's a good thing. It's a good thing that they want to branch out there and experience the world, gain happiness from other people. But before, hands on heart, I would have said I want Jack to live with me when he's 30 before I could work, because Jack was everything. There was
he was your world.
It was just Jack. That was all I focused on. I never thought about myself. And now
that's always because you identified only as mummy, and you didn't, like me, I had no idea who Jenny was. If I wasn't a mum, what the fuck? That's all I've done. That's all I've been. I'm the one that organises all the play dates and takes them places. And even now I find myself this week, I've been driving around all over the place, taking the kids to see friends and things because it makes the kids happy. But now it's like I'll do that, and I'll use the time in the car then to listen to podcasts, or I'll do, but I still, sometimes I'm like, hey, I'll go take it, I don't mind, and end up all over West Yorkshire, driving them around places. But then at the back of my head, I'm always thinking, a couple of years' time, they'll be driving. And, I do use the time in the car with the kids, which is quite a good time to kind of chat and talk through things. I find that spaces like that as they get older is
action as well, isn't there? Like even with Jack, like if I talk to him at home and he's just like watching Peppa Pig, it's like nothing. But if we go for a walk, or if we're walking, he'll talk more, and that's where I suppose the connection does happen, doesn't it? But it's just, I think it's just a process, isn't it? I think we have to understand and be gentle with ourselves and kind with ourselves, that it can be hard and it's okay, and no one's alone. Like we're all, even if what you see on Instagram is smiley teenagers posing with their parents, or toddlers that don't seem to have chocolate smeared all over their face, and
it's all bullshit.
It's not reality, is it?
No, it's not.
You have to understand that this app is great and it builds these conversations, but there is also parts of it that we shouldn't get stuck into that comparison.
That's one of the first things I did, was started unfollowing accounts that made me feel like I wasn't enough, I wasn't good as a parent. And I follow so many accounts now that is just honest, truthful, and tell you as it is. Because any account you follow on any kind of social media platform, if they don't make you feel happy, good about yourself, they're not worth following. They're not worth following, because all it does is bring you down. And there's too much of that going on in the news and the world right now without it being in your hand all the time as well.
We have to filter it out, don't we? Like
no,
I found myself following, and it's funny because actually I looked on my old personal Instagram the other day and I saw the difference. So it was all Jack. There was no pictures of me. There was nothing. There was a lot of validation posts of, look at me, I've made colourful rice that took me 4 days. Look at me, I've made sensory boards that actually I cried over making because they made me feel so shit about myself.
Yeah.
And it was all Jack. And now it's all me, and I'm happy with that, and I'm good with that. I think just knowing that actually it is a process, it does take time, and actually, like you say, as our children grow and go through different transitions, you will still hit bumps in the road where you feel that, and that's normal. Of course
you do. Yeah, because every stage they grow, you've got to grow as well as a parent. So you're leaving behind the old skills and the old things you did with them, and you've got to change who you are again. And that's the hard thing. It's a constant growth and a constant transition, and every stage is hard. You know, the day that my kids leave home, as prepared as I am right now, I will cry like a bitch. Yeah. I will be a ball. I will be a blubbing mess. But that's life. That's just how it's supposed to be. And all you can hope is when they get to that stage where they go out, and then they go out with the friends. I know from having stepkids that are 29 and 21 now, they get to an age where they go out and the friends are the priority and they go out all the time, but then they do come back. You know, there's 2 or 3 years where they holiday with the mates, they go out with the mates, they very rarely see you, but then they do come back to you. So that will be a hard few years, but I don't think how mentally prepared you are. You know, it's the right thing for your kids, and you just have to put that hat on. What kind of parent do I need to be for them? And at that time, it will be a strong parent that doesn't cry down the phone every time they call, or beg them to come home.
Don't hang up. Don't hang up.
Just phone me, let me know you've got in. I'll be one of those, I think. Without all this, I would have been. Say that again, sorry.
I love that question, coming back to that question constantly, like what parent do I need to be for my child right now? Coming back to that question, I'm going to use that because I think coming back to that question just brings you back a bit and takes you out of that like high emotional state, doesn't it? Actually, okay, I might just need to be a little bit different right now, and that's okay, because that's what my children need, and we love our kids. So.
Oh, we do. And it's about it's not being the parent that you want to be, and it's about being the parent that they need you to be. I think that's you've got the number of times I've said that to myself the past few months, because I think particularly as teens, the transition it's so quick, and it seems to me over the lockdown they kind of stayed in a bubble and they stayed the same, but now they're kind of back at school and they're spreading wings. They want to do so many different things again, and my eldest is like, right, we're going here, we're going to have a beach day, we've got a whole plan over summer, we can't go on holiday then because I'm going to so and so with my friends. And I'm like, whoa, just know, hang on. the minute the planes are going, we are off.
You're not stopping my holiday.
No, absolutely. That is one line I will not cross.
No.
But so it is hard, but it's fun, and you know, we wouldn't have it any other way. But it's still, they say, don't they, the hardest things are the things that are most worth it, and they are.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think motherhood for me sort of cracked me open.
Me too.
And let me take a look inside and let me come back to myself. I'll be eternally grateful for that. But so if someone wants to work with you, because I know you're now, how can people get in touch with you if they want to?
Yes, online on Insta. I have a website, remumnacy.co.uk, and then my blog, which is mumshit.co.uk, is live but coming soon. Facebook groups and that kind of thing. But so just check me out on Insta. There's all sorts of updates and things on there. I've got a workshop I am working on, hopefully launching in May, my birthday month. Yay! Ooh, yay. And I am one of these that has a birthday month. I celebrate. The kids are like, how can you? Because, well, why not? Nobody has ever stopped me having a birthday month, so I'm going to continue to have a birthday month.
Well, I'm going to get on this trend then. This year I'm having a birthday. I missed birthdays now, so I feel like amalgamating it into 1 month, we deserve that.
Oh, absolutely. But every year you should have a birthday month. Okay. So yeah, so in May I will be, hopefully, fingers crossed, if everything goes to plan, launching my workshop. So yeah, just Insta.
Amazing, yeah. And you have, or if you don't follow Jenny, her reels will just keep you going, and they are
You
incredible.
know, I love reels so much. They make me so happy.
Me too.
The more swear words and the sillier the better.
Yes, we're here for this. I love it. Well, thank
Thank
you
you.
so
Yeah,
much.
thank you ever so much for having me. It's been so much
You're
fun. And my
welcome.
hair is also grateful.
I know. I'm actually think I might go and wash my hair because I've got clean hair envy.
Oh, yeah, about once a week it looks like this. Tomorrow it'll be greasy as hell again, but I'll go get myself some more dry shampoo, won't I?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, darling.
Everyone that joined, and yeah, check Jenny out because she is, yeah, I love you.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.